I love the 24-105 focal length. I think it's one of the best go-to run and gun lenses out there, and I've got it in my kit, although I have the Canon RF 24-105 f4. Fixed focal length throughout the entire focal range, and yes, you can go above, but wide open it's at f4, whether you're shooting at 105 or 24, and it's image stabilized and it's weather sealed. But is Canon planning on coming out with a wider lens or a faster lens at f2.8? Well, that's what Canon Rumors has to say. More on that coming up, but first, please do me a favor. Follow me on Twitter, subscribe, share, choose all notifications, like, comment, and all that good stuff. It means an awful lot to me, it's greatly appreciated, and it really helps this channel grow. According to Canon Rumors, we have an anonymous report that Canon plans to announce a Canon RF 24-105 f2.8 L series image stabilized lens in the first half of 2023. Now, I know you've got to be going crazy. Where on earth is that 35mm f1.2? How long have we been asking about this lens? Well, probably good 2 to 3 years. 35mm f1.2. There's a lot of people that want that fast and wide open lens, and yet we're hearing nothing of it. I love the 50mm f1.2. It's one of my go-to lenses, along with the 24-105 f4. A 24-105 f4 at f2.8, well, that does have me, well, thinking about it a little bit. It had me at first thinking, like, what the heck? What does this mean, a 24-105 f2.8? But the more I thought about it, the more I could be able to shoot in low light situations, well, the better this lens would be to me. F4 just isn't, well, fast enough for shooting in low light, and even f2.8 is arguably not enough either. Now, if this was f2, that would be a far better value proposition to me, but I'm just wondering about the price. You see, the 24-105 f4 to 7.1 sells for $399. Then to go to the f4, which is weather sealed, better construction, we're looking at $12.99. The price for an f2.8, I wouldn't be surprised if it's in the same neighborhood as the 24-70 at 22, nay, $23.99. And that makes it a very expensive lens, a very expensive value proposition for just being an f2.8 versus an f2. I know what you're thinking, Simon, come on, f2.8 versus f2, does it really make that much of a difference? And the answer is yes, it really does. A lot of times when I'm shooting in low light situations, it could be a bright sunny day, but I'm in a forest, I'm in a rather shaded area, and the difference between an f2 and an f2.8 means, well, I've got a lot more noise versus not having any noise at all. I'm always shooting in the forest with my son, and it's got a tree canopy that's mostly made of pine, so a decent amount of light does come through, but quite often I find myself going anywhere from f3.2 all the way down to f1.8, and f2 could, well, it would be ideal for me. That could be my go-to lens for pretty well anything. Whereas right now I'm using the 24-105 for brightly sunlit areas, or any area that's, well, run and gun that doesn't have any obstructions. Even on a cloudy day, the 24-105 f4 is just perfect. It really doesn't matter if it's cloudy, whether it's snowing, whether it's raining, whether it's bright and sunny, that lens is perfect. I get everything exposed properly. I do have to shoot at f22, which does have some of its problems. Yes, f8 or f10 would be better in terms of sharpness, but for shooting video, I don't really notice a drop off in sharpness, whether it's from the center to the edges. You see, it just works really, really well for me, and because it's weather sealed, I can shoot in the snow, I can shoot in the rain. Not heavy rain. If it's heavy rain, generally I'll have some sort of raincoat on this camera. And for all those situations where I'm shooting in low light, if I'm shooting inside anywhere, well, f4 just isn't going to do it. I need something like f1.2 or f2 at the very, well, at the, what am I trying to say here? I need at least f2. And if I'm shooting in the forest, I'm shooting outside in these situations at very, very low light, or I'm shooting in well, twilight hours, or even at night where there's some other ambient lighting, I shoot with a Canon 50mm f1.2. That 1.2 is really fast, wide open, and gets me some really incredible results. Even when there's, well, very little light around, even if there's just very, very underpowered solar lights or LED lights, it's amazing what the 50mm f1.2 can pull out. It's just a dream lens. But to have a 24-105, f2.8, I'm curious, and to know if this lens would be successful really depends on the pricing of it. See, if it was an f2 and sold for $22.99, then it's a different type of value proposition, but an f2.8 at $22.99, no, I'd probably just stick with the 24-105 f4. I really do love that lens. It's a very versatile lens. Whenever I plan on traveling, that is the first lens that gets put in my kit. And I generally take the 50mm f1.2 with me as well because, well, it helps me in low light. None of the other lenses. Those two are my go-to lenses, and I just absolutely love them. The 24-105 f2.8 image stabilized lens, probably a USM, although we don't know at this point. We also don't know the price. Yeah, what do you think? Let me know in the comment section down below. But there's one other thing too when I think of this lens. I think of it as a kit lens. And yes, a 24-105 f2.8 lens, probably around $2,000, is not something I think of as a kit lens. But if Canon was planning on announcing the R5 Mark II, this is a lens I'd expect to see announced alongside it. It kind of makes sense. I mean, think about it. If you were going to release the 24-105 f2.8 image stabilized lens, where would you do it? When would you do it? And Canon Rumor says it's going to be happening sometime mid-2023, but what would you announce it alongside with? Would you just announce it solitarily? Or if you were planning solitarily by itself, if you were planning on announcing this lens and you were planning on announcing the Canon EOS R5 Mark II, wouldn't you kind of announce these lenses right around the same time? But for now, Canon Rumors has this as a CR1, which means that it's coming from an unknown source and it hasn't been validated in any way whatsoever. I'm not saying it doesn't make sense for this lens, because if they do this, well, now you've got, for the first time in the RF lens mount, you've got a very affordable lens at $399. You've got a mid-range lens at around $1,299. Sometimes goes on sale for $10.99 or $11.99. And then you've got a high-end lens. And I'd really like to see this throughout Canon's lens lineup, is a high, medium, and low. But I would also like to see other lenses like the 35mm f1.2. And there's many other lenses that we have in the EF mount, or even that we have with Sigma, like a 150-600 or 650. I'd like to see those on the RF mount as well. And it's great to have 3 of the same focal length, but I would like to see a bit more diversity, a bit more varied lenses in the lineup. Or even Canon, please, if you're listening, you know we want this, and I'm sure you're thinking about it, you're working on it, but please grant permission for Sigma and Tamron to produce third-party lenses, especially of those, well, focal lengths that you seem to have no interest in producing in any way whatsoever, such as a 150-600mm. We'd really love to see more of those. What you did with the 600 and the 800 was, well, very interesting, and I love that 800mm. While I sold it for the 100-500mm, I still miss that 800mm. I really do like that lens, and I'd like to see you, well, release more crazy, bizarre lenses like that. But please do grant permission to Sigma and Tamron. And if you'd like to stay up to date on the latest camera news and rumors, or the latest noomers, then go ahead and subscribe and choose all notifications. By choosing all notifications, as soon as I publish a new video like this one here, well, you'll get notified. Just make sure you check your spam and trash folder, or sorry, your spam and junk folder, because a lot of times these emails go in there. And if you want to stay up to date on all the minor news and rumors, well, then go ahead and follow me on Twitter at Filmmaker, although you can probably find me at Ordinary. But just use this link here and you'll be able to find it. I tweet a lot more about news stories that, well, aren't quite big enough for having their own separate video. And yes, the 24-105 f2.8 almost wasn't big enough to have its own video. And if you were wondering, well, Simon, did Canon Rumors mention any other lenses, like a 2023 lens roadmap? Yeah, no, I'm sorry they didn't, but I'm keeping my ears to the ground and keeping my eyes wide open at like an f1.2. So if anything else comes up regarding the RF lenses here in 2023, we can expect to see about 7 or 8 of them. I'll certainly let you know, so make sure you hit that subscribe button. And honestly, it means an awful lot to me. It really does help this channel grow. But that's it for now. Have yourself a great week, and we'll see you again soon.